Hey, welcome back, Visions fans. Ready Player Whaler doing a review for the new Omega release from last week. It's both the Esper and the Vision card review. I'm super excited about this Esper and Vision card, to be honest. I think the community is not talking about them a lot right now, obviously, because the Guild War map doesn't really lend itself and is a pretty strong unimeta, or at least like light favoritism and ice strength. So I think these two are being slept on at the moment because this is basically like the equivalent of the Bahamut card, but for the dark units. So let's jump into things. We're going to talk about the Vision card first. Just going over it in general. The stats on it, HP and attack are like average to above average, nothing special there, but 5 SPR is awesome, 3 agility is awesome, and the thing about this card, kind of like Bahamut, all of the unit effects are for dark units only. So for the unit effects, you get agility of 8%, light resistance 10%, and HP 10%, so really fantastic set of unit effects there for however you put it on. The party effect for dark units, increase slash attack of 35 and increase HP of 13%. So obviously that slash attack is a little more niche to some of the dark characters where it's like, you know, Knight of Ruin Stern, Venera, if you're running Kane with a, you know, what do you call it, sub-job, Viking sub-job. Dwayne, obviously, he's the big one. So a little more pigeonholed there for the attack type that it you know, increases, but overall it also has the magic resistance of 20, which is really, really important, just because you want to, you know, buff up that magic resist as much as possible as it pertains to some of the recent meta we've seen, and obviously helps hedge some of those weaknesses. That being said, one of the biggest comparisons and one of the, let's say, hottest topics when it came out was it did not change from what Japan got. Japan actually got a different party element buff. I think it was increased SPR rather than magic resistance, because there's an immense amount in common with Dwayne's card that already exists, the Irresistible Darkness card. So if you're looking at the comparison, yes, Irresistible Darkness does have more attack and more HP on it, but because of the unit effect and the party effect of HP up on Omega, you actually get way more HP out of the Omega card. So, you know, that extra 100 on the Irresistible Darkness, not, you know, negligible. And then when it comes to the unit effect, it obviously still is like dark oriented. Dwayne in particular for the dark attack up, slash attack up, and then the party effect. The thing is, they both overlap because the Irresistible Darkness gives you 12%, but Omega gives you 20%, so technically more. It's just that there's a pierce resistance of 20% on Irresistible Darkness, which is going to become kind of more of its strength, if you will. But we'll really jump into like where each is better. So technically, Omega, in my opinion, better for dark slash comps, or at least mono dark comps. That seems to be a definite. Better for anti-magic, obviously has a higher magic resistance, as well as some SPR on the card for whoever's using it. Higher overall HP, both the unit and the party. Really important, you know, extra way to bump up their health pools. Helps a slower dark unit, if only because there's the 3 agility and the increase of agility of 8%. And then it's better against light comps as opposed to Irresistible Darkness, because it's got the light resistance of 10% for the unit, which, you know, obviously if you're tanking someone or putting this on a tank or someone who's going against light, obviously that's going to help hedge that innate weakness. So, the strengths of Irresistible Darkness, though, it's better for multi-element, Dwayne-centric comps. So, the thing about their party effects, you'll notice, they're not conditional to dark only or limited to that. So, technically, you could have a multi-element comp here, and everyone gets the attack buff of 35%. If you're using a multi-element comp with Omega, not everyone gets the party effects. So, that's kind of where this shines in particular, just that it's more versatile with who you put with Dwayne, and obviously, you want to put this on Dwayne just because it's made for him, the dark attack up and whatnot. Really important for him to get that offensive buff. It's a little more niche to anti-pierce now, where, you know, you get that 20% resistance, and, you know, it's noteworthy. I'll leave it at that. And then Dwayne hits harder technically with this card because the modifiers are roughly the same, but he does definitely get a benefit of the attack of 35% on this. So let's actually look at some numbers. So some stats in action. This is the build I put on a Dwayne on the left. Kind of an average build that I put together. This is just the Omega Esper, which we'll talk about soon, and really just a comparison of the Vision cards, both of them. So these are his stats for both cards, Irresistible Darkness and Omega. So Omega, he gets about an extra 500 HP. His attack is about 120 lower. And then these modifiers actually net out to be really similar. So if you add up the two of them, Irresistible Darkness is at 95 and Omega's at 100. So not a huge fall off there in terms of losing the multiplier. But the agility, massive difference too. You get an extra 7 agility on the Omega card. So that's overall, how can I say this? Even if it's a DPS, like a DPS loss because it's lower attack, you're probably going to get more turns. So you get more offensive potency out of them. So I ran some tests. I did someone with 30 defense and 25 slashes. I figure pretty basic. And then the Dwayne average damage. So with Omega, average damage is this 2,979. With Irresistible Darkness, it was about 300 higher, 3,279. And here's the kicker: you can put both. So if you had Irresistible Darkness on Dwayne and Omega on a fellow slash unit like Knight of Ruin Stern, technically, yeah, his HP is gonna still be much higher, about 400 higher. The attack's the same. He's gonna get more modifiers out of it. Long story short, his damage with both is about 3,700. So he gets about an extra 600 damage with both of them equipped. Really, that's why it's kind of like the Bahamut version of Dark units, because when you put it in conjunction with the comp, everyone really gets a lot stronger. So that's, it's debatable whether you would put both on them, because obviously you're kind of overlapping the magic resistances of the two cards, and, you might be giving up other vision card to stack resistances or, enhance other characters, but it's definitely feasible. I don't see why it couldn't be. My underrated favorite candidate for this card, now this is not OP by any means, I don't say try it, drum roll, this is just a suggestion because it seems to me that this card offers a lot that this character needs. Whisper. Character that everyone tries to use, completely situational, very rarely used in PvP just because of the versatility of the attack types, and that's probably still the case. This is not going to change it much, but here's the thing. So I gave a Whisper build, and this is to me just for funsies. This is kind of like my average Whisper build. I usually make her just like a punching bag rather than give her like a bunch of attack, but we're kind of in a slash meta at the moment with Gilgamesh and Auron, so this is trying to gear her for as much slash resistance as possible, as well as some extra magic just for Yuna. I'm assuming here that an external candidate or teammate has the Solidus Vision card, which is a 20% slash resist. So if you give her Snow White Guard, which is her typical like vision card to give her, because it's got the 15% slash attack, yeah, she's gonna hit 100% slash resistance, but her HP 2860. That's fucking low. And then yeah, defense 26, SPR 19, agility of 76. If you put Omega on her though instead, yes, her slash resistance is no longer 100%, drops to 85, but she gets about 1,700 HP, so she suddenly goes from his 2860 to 4485. The defense SPR, the SPR is better because she gets 5 extra. The agility, fucking 7 more agility. Like, the difference between these two is pretty massive. So, like, yeah, she's not 100% resistant anymore, but she's getting a fuck ton more HP, which is obviously going to help her against some of those other potential incoming damage types. It's just something to think about. I don't really necessarily, like, say do it or, like, it's a secret, code breaker, but something to think about, because this card does offer a lot to her that she normally lacks, or at least wants a little bit more of. So Omega the Esper, fucking incredible. So it's an attack-oriented Esper. You can see it's 123 attack on the card. It's got 25% slow resist on it, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty common status effect nowadays. It's an incredible summon ability. So this damage modifier, number one, is fucking off the charts. 275 is incredibly high compared to the others. It's got a chance of paralysis. The AoE on this is a little strange because it's a straight line, so it's not going to get as much versatility in terms of hitting multiple people. But chance to paralyze, decreased dark resistant for all enemies that get that it hits 50%, and then the increase of attack and magic of 100% for all dark units. So again, if you're running a mono dark comp, which you should for Vision card, if you have this Esper on, incredible buff. It's got the Imperil, chance to paralyze, incredible modifier, really overall impressive ability. It's a huge attack and HP stat, worth 1300 HP, and then it's got no elemental strengths or weaknesses, which is actually kind of nice. Obviously, sometimes you want to gear for the strengths that elements have, but oftentimes there's some Espers where it's got a weakness, and that kind of sucks. I think of like Diabolos in particular, where you want to put him on Garvel, but it's like 10% light weakness, so that hurts you sometimes. But kind of looking at a quick Esper comparison, I took a couple really like offensive-oriented Espers. Odin number 1, you can see HP of 823, the attack of 80, luck of agility of 19. He's like the fastest one. Two-headed dragon, kind of. I'm gonna just go through these just so you can see them on the screen. Omega here, vastly, like the HP is off the charts bigger. The attack off the charts bigger, like 30 more on average. The two-headed dragon packs a punch too, but trades a lot, and the agility and overall leaves some to be desired in that sense. But 14 agility is great average agility to put on a character, and no strengths or weaknesses. So like Omega overall fucking slaps. Dexterity 10 to 12 points higher, luck 10 to 12 points higher, so it helps the accuracy and the evasion. however you fit that in. And then in terms of the Esper Nodes, so his board is fucking nuts. 25% dark attack up on the modifier, 25% light killer, 15% slash attack up, 15% magic resist, increase attack 20%, 25% dragon killer, that's obviously niche, light resist of 6%, which is going to help the weakness innately of some dark units it's going to be on, increased accuracy of 7%, evasion rate 7%, crit rate of 15%, and then the evocation damage 19. Like overall, when you're looking at those like top 7 bullet points, fucking nutty for a lot of what these characters really like. Obviously, Dwayne kind of comes to mind in particular, but like Knight of Ruin Stern, and dare I say, like even Kane, because he does have the Viking sub job. Kane's obviously known for his pierce, and that's why he was so broken in the meta for so long. But like hypothetically, I can't see why you couldn't work him into a comp and have him get some utility out of this as well. There's obviously some other dark units too, like Venera and Whisper, and I'm sure I'm missing one that's important. Regular Stern obviously got the X upgrade, but overall, like this board really works well with the cast of dark characters. So that's Omega in a nutshell. The Vision card's really an interesting one to play with. The Esper's a really awesome one to play with, particularly if you're using the Behemoth Esper as well, that recently got the 3-star Awakening. Those two in particular like have a lot of overlap in terms of like offensive potency. So once this like Guild War map change where it's like no longer an innate dark resistance, and once we kind of see things get shaken up with you know, the Nier Automata release, I know for a fact like the Omega Vision card and Esper are going to be a huge influence on some of the times to come. So yeah, good luck pulling for it. Hopefully those that did are enjoying it so far, and looking forward to seeing it in action. So thanks for listening. As always, comments, critiques, criticism, comments all down below. So I'll talk to y'all soon.